Good morning, Barberton First Church of Christ. Glad to see everybody out there today. Those that are watching on Facebook, we're glad to have you with us as well. Just wanted to make a comment that before the lesson begins, there's going to be a couple real short videos that you might not see out there. So if it doesn't seem like the lesson starts right away, you might be seeing something different at that point. You might have noticed that our songs this morning all had to do with God being the creator of all things. One of them we sang, "This is my Father's world, I rest me in the thought of rocks and trees and skies and seas, His hand the wonders wrought." Probably comes from Psalm 19:1 that says, "The universe declares God's handiwork, and the skies proclaim the work of His hands." But not according to a guy named Stephen Hawking, who is probably one of the most brilliant scientific minds of the 21st century. He says that he can explain everything through science without even needing a God. Now, Stephen's passed away a few years ago, so I think he knows the truth on the matter at this particular time. Slide 1, please. You know, until the mid-1920s, in our schools, the only answer to the question of where did we all come from was, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth, and that God created man in His own likeness and His own image, Genesis 1 and 2. But about 189 years ago, Satan began to devise a plan. This one rivaled even his one that he did in the garden. It was a divisive scheme. In 1836, the theory of evolution is born. It's a theory that's going to challenge the very core of Bible teachings in the creation of man. What's interesting is even Darwin feared this theory that he came up with. He didn't want to publish it right away. It sat on his desk for 20 years before he published it. In 1859, he publishes a report. It quickly gets the interest of the scientific world and, of course, debate in the religious world. Evolution first begins to be taught in some of the schools, not all of them, in 1925, and lawsuits followed. In 1931, as we saw in the one video, a Belgian cosmologist named Georges Lemaitre, who was also, interesting enough, a Catholic priest, he publishes the Big Bang Theory as an answer to how everything in the universe comes to be. It's not until the 1960s that this begins to become popular and gain momentum. It's beginning to be taught in all the public schools, along with the Big Bang Theory. But also, creationism is still taught in the schools as an alternative theory. But it's not until 1987 the Supreme Court of the United States bans creationism in all schools. Could no longer be taught even as an alternative. Did you know that today evolution is mandated in all 50 states? As how mankind came to be. And the Big Bang Theory is held as the best explanation of creation of the universe by the majority of the scientists today. So what's the result of this 60 years of deception that we've been given? Well, only about 38% of Americans today believe that God created everything in a literal 6 days, as stated in the first 2 chapters of Genesis. Was it any surprise? I mean, we've been indoctrinated over the last 60 years that creationism is nothing but a fairy tale. So the question is, well, how do we combat this as Christians? I mean, after all, I would assume that most of us here today do not have a master's degree in physics or in science. But the good thing is there's a major flaw in both of these theories. I'm going to show you something today, very simple. You could use not only instructing the youth of today, you could stand toe-to-toe with any scientist and debate creationism over evolution. So there's one unanswerable question on both the parts of evolution and of the Big Bang Theory. A question that no scientist can answer. Now, we're going to get to that question a little bit later in the lesson. But for right now, I want to start out with a different question. Why on earth are you even here? Let's set aside the fact of let's say there's not a God. Have you ever wondered why you're here or how you even got here in the first place? I mean, it does seem a little kind of crazy, doesn't it? I mean, here we are on this big ball floating through space called the planet Earth. How's that even possible? We're living, we're breathing, we're carrying on lives, we're doing things in our lives. How's that even possible? I sat in a class one time, and there was one guy in there when the question came up, how did we get here? His answer was, my parents. I said, well, I give him that. That's a good answer, I guess. Somewhere, somehow, some way, two people got together in an intimate relationship, and 9 months later, bam, there we were, right, in all of our glory. Welcome to the planet Earth. But when I ask, how did we get here? I mean, how did mankind get here in the very beginning? Because if you think about it, outside of there being a God, for all practical purposes, we should not be here today at all. Now, I'm going to play a game with you today, and I want you to play along. And I think that you could use this even in teaching other people. But this game is going to be called The Time Traveler. So we're all going to get in our time machine, and we're going to go way back, clear to the beginning. That's the dream we all have, isn't it? I mean, sometime another thing. If I could only go back to a certain period of time and visit people and do things. So we're going to play this game today. And we're going to strategically remove things from the planet Earth. Now, there's some 8 billion people on Earth. There they are. Some 8 billion, it's probably a Stones concert, right? 8 billion people on Earth. Can you imagine that? That's a lot of people running around doing things. They're going to work, they're singing, they're going swimming, whatever they do on a daily basis, They're living life. Well, we're in this game, and by the way, preachers usually don't ask people to close their eyes during sermons, okay? But we're going to do this today. I think it's safe. I want you to all close your eyes just for about 10 seconds, and I want you to picture, you all don't have your eyes closed, I can see them with my eyes closed. I want you to picture these 8 billion people just going about their daily lives, doing whatever they're doing, and at the count of 3, we're going to make them all disappear. You ready? 1, 2, 3, poof! They're all gone. And what remains? Hey, we're right on target. Man-made stuff. If we got rid of all the people and you could look, from an aerial view, all you would see were buildings and skyscrapers and houses and construction equipment, planes, trains, automobiles, buildings, just stuff. Everywhere, but no people to operate them. So I want you to close your eyes again, and we're going to get rid of all the stuff in the world. 1, 2, 3, whoosh. It's all gone. And what do you have left? You can open your eyes now. I am losing some. What do we have left? Nature. I always thought it would be really cool to get one of those drones, or get in a plane and fly up above and everything be gone except for nature itself. And you got mountains and you got oceans, you got streams, you got all kinds of animals, everything just kind of roaming the earth. Just looks like a big park or a zoo. That'd be pretty cool, pretty beautiful, wouldn't it? All right, we're almost there. Let's close our eyes again. One more time. Now we're going to get rid of all of nature, the birds of the sky, the fish of the sea, all the oceans, mountains, everything on the planet Earth is going to disappear as far as nature's concerned. 1, 2, 3, poof, it's all gone. You can open your eyes. I feel like I'm hypnotizing you or something out there. You can open your eyes now, and what's left? The universe, right? I mean, now it's kind of like Star Trek. We're going to be in our time machine. We're traveling through space, and all we just see for infinity is nothing but planets and stars and galaxies. You know, there's like 100 million galaxies or something like that they think that are out there. Just stars forever and ever and ever. Last time, I promise. Close your eyes. We're going to make the entire universe disappear on the count of 3. And I want you to keep your eyes closed for a second after that. So picture it in your mind, the universe, all the galaxies, everything, and 1, 2, 3, bam! It's all gone. What do you see? What do you see in your mind's eye? Not exactly. Open your eyes. And there's, well, there was a screen up there, but we just made it all disappear, didn't we? So it's what I call NBD. Nothing but darkness. Congratulations. We've all reached our destination to the beginning of time where there's absolutely nothing in the beginning of creation. Creationists and scientists now will start on a level playing field. Here's a challenge that I make to all the science people out there that believe in these things. With nothing, there was a blank screen, a black screen. Okay. In the beginning, there was absolutely nothing out there. Now, my challenge to the scientific mind is, you show me right now how we get something from nothing. See, it's the one unanswerable question that can't be, because they all start with something, don't they? So there's only 2 choices out there for these theories. One of them is something, somehow, some way, somewhere came from nothing, or something came from something, an unknown source. If I would take these theories, which, by the way, neither one of them can be proven, and I take them into a court of law, let's see which one makes the most sense. Now, I'm going to appoint a judge today. Let me put her up there. It's one of my favorite judges, Judge Judy. And the reason why I always like Judge Judy is because when she's holding court and she thought the person was lying to them, she would say to them, "That doesn't make sense. And if it doesn't make sense, it's probably not true." So we're going to look at the evidence today. I propose that something can never come from nothing, period. Plain and simple, it's impossible, and that can be proven in the laboratory. It's not a theory, it's a fact. Now the problem is with the Big Bang Theory, they started with something. Remember the video? They started with all that stuff compacted down to the size of a pinpoint, and then there was a big, well, where did all that something come from? They never explain that. When you look at evolution, they start with a big ocean that was like a big soup out there that life came from. But they never explain, where did that big soup come from? I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to let them start with something, okay? We're going to let them start with a lump of clay. Almost like it has a face on it to start with, doesn't it? So we're going to give them a lump of clay to start working with, and I'm going to sit here and we're all going to wait for that lump of clay to change into something else. How's that sound? I don't care if we sat here for 13.8 billion years that they talk about, that lump of clay is still going to be a lump of clay. You can come back every day, year after year after year, look at that lump of clay. It's just going to be a lump of clay. If anything, it'll start to deteriorate and break down, not build up into something better, right? So that lump of clay is going to stay that way unless it's touched by an outside force, some kind of intelligent design. For it to become a work of art. Giving some clues up there. There we go. So here's the end goal for science. They need that lump of clay to become that. Now, I don't care how long it sits there. That lump of clay will never turn into that piece of art unless it's affected by an outside force. Something touches it, something that is intelligent, maybe such as an artist that would take it into their hands and form it into that piece of art. It could never turn from one to the other by chance. So, design or chaos. We say everything happened by design. They say everything happened randomly out of chaos. Look at the definition of design. It's an intention to do something, to plan something with a specific purpose or intention of mind. Now look at chaos. It means it just randomly happened by accident, and the odds of it happening are astronomical. Let me give you a good example. We all know about Swiss timepieces, right? Amazing watches. So if you look over here, you see all the parts that go into a Swiss timepiece to make it eventually be a watch. Over here, if it was all put together, this is what you would see. Now, let's say I take all the parts of this watch and I put them in a box and I shake them and I shake them. For 1 year, I stand here and I shake that box. I put it down, I open up, and I'm like, amazing. It's still just a bunch of watch parts, right? It never turned into anything. Never turned into this watch. Well, why? Because it takes a designer to turn those pieces into a watch. And yet, this is exactly what the Big Bang Theory proposes. In the video, it said that everything exploded and all the planets went out there, and just somehow, some way, gravity all pulled each galaxy together, including the planet Earth and all the planets that surround us. It just pulled them all together, and they all fit perfectly, and now they worked for thousands of years as an amazing timepiece. You see, there's intricate design in everything you look at out here. One illustration I'm going to use today, I may have used this once before in a lesson, but it's the honeybee. You know, the honeybee has been in the news a lot lately, so I kind of wanted to bring them back. We talk about the honeybee. If the honeybee didn't exist, immediately like 100 different fruit trees would go out of our food source, like right now today. Very, very crucial that we have the honeybee on the planet Earth. Did you know that every cell of the honeycomb is shaped like a hexagon? Now, interestingly enough, six-sided, the California Learning Resource Center says a hexagon is considered to be the strongest shape in engineering due to its unique properties. In other words, a pound of beeswax will hold 22 pounds of honey in an unsupported comb. A 1 foot deep honeycomb supports 1,320 times its own weight in honey. Now, I don't know at what point that bee came out on the evolutionary scale, or if it came out, they all came out together and had a swarm. But I tell you this, if they would have guessed or got lucky or took a chance on any other shape than that hexagon, they would have never existed. They would have, bang, been gone. The whole honeycomb system would have collapsed, and we wouldn't have honeybees today. You just wonder, did they just get lucky and guess? Or somehow was it engineered into the DNA and design of that honeybee that it automatically knew that it had to do that in order for the honeycomb to exist? Design is everywhere. That's just one example. I don't care what you look at the human body. Look at the eye. Do a study of the eye sometime. Do the study of our central nervous system. Do a study on the brain. And they are so complex that there's no way in the world man could duplicate something like this. And think about it. If there's a design, then logically, there's a designer, right? Because design is the opposite of chance. It doesn't happen by chance. But think about it. Even if a scientist, and I've heard them say that, well, we think we can create life in the laboratory today, and we can put all this stuff in the test tubes, and we can recreate the bowl of soup, and we can do everything, and life will spring up from nothing. Well, they shot themselves in the foot. Because even if they were able to produce life in the laboratory, all they proved was that it took a designer to do it, right? I mean, they didn't just have all that stuff sitting there and it happened. They would have to plan and put everything together just right. I believe that there's an intelligent designer, and it's the God of the Bible. God has not been hiding somewhere, nor did He disguise Himself in some way that we can't see Him in the world around us. In fact, He makes it very clear that not only has He fully revealed His nature to us in the things that He made, but He holds every one of us accountable if we do not acknowledge this creation. Romans 1:19 and 20 says, "What may be known about God is plain to them, because God has made it plain to them. For since the creation of the world, God's invisible qualities, His eternal power, His divine nature, has been clearly seen, being understood from what has been made, so that people are without excuse." Dave walked in, by the way, while I was playing those first two videos. He's looking at that, and I said, "Where do you see what other heretical stuff I'm going to be preaching on Sunday?" He was a little concerned, but I kind of filled him in on what was going on. Today, if you haven't given your life over to Christ, over to God, you don't have a purpose here. If you think about, what am I doing here? Why am I here? This is why we're here. Right here. To serve a living Creator who designed everything for us. Not only did He create us, but we're His favorites. Of all the creation, we're His favorites. And we're the only ones that He gave freedom of choice and the ability to sin. So we do. And He sends His Son. He has another plan. He sends His Son, that whosoever believes in Him will not perish, but have everlasting life. Today, if you're not a Christian, you believe that Jesus is Christ, the Son of God, you acknowledge that you're a sinner and you want to repent of your sins this day, and be baptized in the waters of baptism. It's a clean slate. Wash it all away. We ask that you might come forward as together we stand and sing.